The sea has inspired countless artists throughout the ages. So while we were here on the south coast, I wanted to meet one artist who has developed a very unusual technique for his beautiful contemporary works of art. Arbeid became fascinated with the works of 16th century marble fresco artists, and over the years has experimented with their ancient methods to produce his own unique style. Wow, what a great workspace. I love your studio. And my eye is vying for attention of so many different paintings at once. I don't know what to look at, but we've singled out just a few. And let's start with this one. What's it called and what's it made of?
It's a Florentine marble fresco. I'm using crushed marble, which I aggregate and sieve it and get my particular blend for the particular finish I'm after. And then I'll add that to a lime stucco render. And as the material's starting to go off, I polish with stained steel trowels the surface, which brings the marble grains to the forefront. When that's finished, I'll build up layers and layers of sealer and then cut the sealer back with abrasives, so I've got a beautiful, smooth surface.
Do you use the natural pigments in the marble itself, or do you actually add to it?
I try and use as little paint as possible and source actual earth pigments, granite, glass, iron ore, metal ore, to create the coloration rather than using a traditional pigment. I also like the idea that you, instead of squeezing a pigment out of a tube and using something micronized, changing the whole scale of pigment and using chunky material.
I was going to say, my eye is being drawn to the bottom of the work here. I can see that's marble, and as it's moving down, it starts to undulate. It looks like you've taken layers away, but also added a lot.
Then I start applying the fresco marble in a textured form. And over the top of this particular area, I've put platinum leaf because I wanted a sparkling water without actually using traditional blues.
Yeah, it's like the foaming sea there, isn't it?
Absolutely, yeah.
And what about right at the very bottom? Is that sand?
What I've used there is crushed granite, marble, metal ore and glass. I've then reblended that and reapplied it in a paler combination to give the sea foam quality.
Do you know, this is the first time I've ever seen anything like this in my life. How long did it take you to do?
It took about 6 weeks to create this, so I can get really involved in it and let the colours and textures be absorbed into me and then back onto the piece again.
At what stage do you know when you're actually happy and finished with it?
You get to the stage where you have to stop and leave it for a few days, put it away, don't look at it, and then get it out and fresh and judge it with fresh eyes.
Yeah. Can I look at this one as well?
This was a very good day when I found this technique. What I used was crushed marble and I blended it with some other materials and whisked it, and it took on a very bubbly foam quality. And when I applied it and the bubbles burst, it translated into a corally foam, which is quite interesting considering it's a very, very hard material representing a very soft material.
That's lovely, isn't it? Well, these are certainly collectibles of the future, aren't they? There's one more that's just grabbed my eye. This.
Well, this is a new departure. I've started sourcing raw material, metal ore, fossils, carborundum.
How do you put them on there? What do you do? Do you glue them on?
I put them in a special water-bound resin is the closest explanation I can give to it. But you can't coat the material too heavily because you'll lose its natural sparkle.
It'll lose the glitter, won't it?
And I do like the fact that as you move around it, it flashes away.
Yeah. What's the piece called and where did the inspiration come from?
It's called The Journeyman, and it's hinting that this is possibly a planet and there's some kind of material leaving that and growing out into space. And that's a metaphor, really, for what we're all made of, or what permeates us all. The same one thing permeates everything on the planet and in the universe.
And again, for the blue background, you've used your Florentine marble technique.
That's correct.
Where did you learn that, and where did that come from?
I was driving around Europe on a holiday, and we went to Italy, and I saw these beautiful frescoes. And that must have permeated at some level, because maybe 6 months later, the idea of reproducing those in a contemporary way started to bubble up.
Yeah.
And I investigated the materials, how they were blended, experimented, and just worked and worked ahead over the last 8 years to produce the techniques.
So there's not a lot of people, I would imagine, that could do this. So is this like a secret that you've got now and you can sort of put it to a commercial use, do you think?
Well, I just want to keep working and working, and people are either liking or disliking what I do and purchasing it or not.
And let's hope they do. Adam, thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Paul.
Pleasure.